Wouldn't it be nice? Final Project Made Easy. EDU 381, Curriculum and Instruction. Sharing the secret recipe. Backward design. If you know the intended outcome, you can plan to take the easy route. By following state standards, creating effective lesson plans, using different instructional models, matching objectives with standards and procedures and assessments, creating procedures that correlate with standards, objectives, assessments, and models, and finally creating assessments that correlate with standards, objectives, procedures, and models. What is the intended outcome for this class? To learn how to design all steps needed for an effective unit of study. This slide provides an illustration that having all of the right ingredients, or not, will influence the final objective. On this slide you can see that the final objective is to create a cake. Most of the ingredients are the same. The side on the right and on the left use a cookbook, flour, eggs, and oil. The left side adds sugar to its mix, but the right side adds macaroni noodles. Will they have the same kind of cake? Let's discuss another example. On this slide, the students have created a cake, and now it's time to assess their work. Is an appropriate assessment for this objective to have the students read the recipe? Of course not. The assessment should measure or correlate with the specific objective, which is creating a cake. It is helpful to use backward design to create an effective unit of study. If you do not know what students need to learn, how will you know how to get them to that point? The ingredients of an effective unit of study include knowing and using state standards, creating effective lesson plans, utilizing different instructional models, matching objectives to standards, procedures, and assessments. You should also mix in ways to differentiate instruction and meet individual needs. Let's discuss the final project requirements. You will create 3 complete lesson plans and a rationale that explains why you made the choices. Your 3 complete lesson plans should be from 1 unit of study at 1 grade level. You should choose to use 3 different instructional models. Make sure that your objectives, procedures, and assessments all match the standard or standards in your lesson plans. The rationale will have an introduction, which is the focus of the project or the unit of study. You will explain why you chose the 3 instructional models that you used, how you are going to meet individual needs. You will also discuss your assessments and why they are appropriate for your model as well as your unit of study. Finally, you will discuss the effectiveness of your unit. How will you know if your unit has been effective? And the last point in your rationale should discuss why it is important for you to have an instructional repertoire. When choosing a grade level for lesson plans, I always recommend choosing a lower grade level so you do not have to teach yourself the information and the principles of designing an effective lesson plan at the same time. Where can I find standards? I suggest that you use Google or some other search engine and use the parameters of your state plus core standards. Another ingredient for success is to learn the curriculum models. You need to learn the procedures and assessments that are appropriate for each model. You will also need to know how to be able to meet individual needs using each one of the models. Next, I want to tie some of the assignments together. This slide will compare the requirements of the Dropbox assignment for Module 2 with the final project. Both assignments require you to choose a standard. The Dropbox assignment requires you to use the direct instruction model, and the final project requires you to choose 3 different models to write your lesson plan. As you can see, both assignments require you to correlate objectives to procedures and to correlate objectives to the standards. In the Dropbox assignment for Module 3, you will plan 2 activities that are appropriate for the direct instruction model. For the final project, you are able to plan activities with procedures for the models that you choose. Finally, both assignments are to be written in the CUD format. This sounds to me like if you follow the directions closely for the Dropbox assignment in Module 2, that you will be able to use that information for the final project. Let's move to the next slide. Let's compare the requirements of the Module 3 Dropbox assignment with the final project. In both assignments, you will choose a standard, a grade level, and a model. You will correlate procedures with the specific model you choose for the Dropbox assignment, and you will also have to correlate the procedures with the models you choose for the final. Both assignments require you to correlate the objectives to the procedures and standards, and to also correlate the assessments to the procedures, objectives, and standards. You are supposed to use the CUD format. Again, it looks like if you pay special attention to completing the Dropbox assignment successfully, you should be able to utilize that information on your final project. Now let's compare the Dropbox assignment for Module 4 to the final project. The Dropbox assignment for Module 4 requires you to write a paper about differentiated instruction, provide information about the theories and background related to differentiated instruction, and to provide examples of how you could include differentiated instruction in your classroom. It also requires you to discuss your experiences and conclusions regarding differentiated instruction, and to provide at least 1 reference in addition to the textbook. The final project requires you to utilize the knowledge from this assignment and to summarize how individual needs can be met in each of the lesson plans. In addition to that, you are to provide a minimum of 4 resources in addition to the textbook. If you provide research in the Dropbox assignment, you should be able to incorporate that into the rationale you prepare for the final project. Let's make one more comparison. This comparison is between one of the discussion board assignments for Module 4 and the final project. As you can see, they both expect you to answer the question, how can student learning be evaluated in a model of your choice? You are required to give examples in both assignments. They also require you to answer the questions, why are these types of assessments appropriate for the model or models that you chose, and how will you meet individual needs? The final question asks you how you will evaluate the effectiveness of your unit of study. In order to score distinguished on the content section of the discussion board, you will need to provide at least 1 source to support your opinion. This could also be a case of being able to incorporate this research as one of the 5 sources required for the project. I hope this comparison has helped you to see how important it is to focus on each assignment. I have a couple of suggestions to help you. If you have not started this already, I suggest that you develop your instructional repertoire. I use Pinterest to keep most of the ideas I have about the classes that I teach on it. My Pinterest link is on this slide. Pinterest.com/teachonlinemja /. Next, I encourage you to make notes on which procedures and assessments correlate with each model and how you will meet special needs by using specific models or differentiated instruction. As stated earlier, if you focus on making each assignment as exemplary as possible, you will be able to use it for the final project. As you review your feedback from me, take the time to make revisions to that assignment so it will look in good form when you are working on the final project. I hope this presentation has helped you to realize the final project can be easy.